me, the trick about film acting, and it's different than acting on stage, is that you want to be prepared. I want to be prepared enough and know what the shots are and know, kind of know what's going on for me to do, then when I do the scene, I want something to happen to me on camera. So I don't want to like do it again and again and again. I don't want to deaden it because I don't want to keep like, just, I don't always want to know exactly what I'm doing. I want to be taken by surprise by another actor's performance or by, or by my reaction to something, because that's the trick. If you can have an emotional reaction on camera, I mean, that's what you're trying to do, not construct something so fully. When you're doing a play, you have to recreate emotional moments, so you have to figure out a way to do it night after night after night to get to that spot. But in film, you can actually allow yourself to have the experience on camera, which is really cool. I was a big reader when I was a kid. We moved around a lot. And I was always like the first person at the library, checking out as many books as I could, and I loved it. And then when I started doing acting in school, it seemed like I was reading aloud. That's just, you just feel like you're in the story. So yeah, it was that kind of progression, I think. I don't think I'm naturally a performer. I don't actually like to, some people are kind of wonderful on stage and can really, perform, sing and dance and do comedy and do all this kind of, that kind of, and for me I can't do it unless I'm in a story.
How much do you think your personal history of moving around a lot as a kid kind of impacted your interest in finding these kind of characters?
Oh, tremendously. I mean, so many actors become, there's so many people from, military backgrounds or embassy backgrounds or traveling salesmen or ministry. So many people who've traveled or have had kind of itinerant childhoods become actors. So clearly it's a causal kind of thing, I think what happens is that you learn that, I think a lot of people think that behavior is character. They think because so-and-so behaves this way, they are X. And the one thing that you learn when you move around a lot is that, no, behavior is just behavior. And there's things about people and about character that can be universal. So you're always trying to figure that out. Like, the way people speak, the way they move, the way they, some stuff is cultural. Some stuff is emotional, whatever, but it's not, but that behavior that you think is characteristic of someone is always, you can always change that.
Did you learn any accents?
Oh, everywhere, you have to. Well, because everyone speaks a little bit differently everywhere you live, so you have to make sure that you don't stick out by speaking like the place you just left. And and the thing about accents is fascinating to me is that you don't lose an accent, you actually acquire a new one. Henry Kissinger and Ted Koppel evidently both left Germany at the same age, 18. I know, right? So obviously Ted Koppel made a choice at some point not to sound like Henry Kissinger. But I mean, it's really fascinating to me because you have to listen very hard. You have to change the way you speak to so-called lose an accent. You're not losing it, you're acquiring something else.
Are there any characters then, though, that have stayed with you over the years?
They all do, and they all don't. It's like it's like they're like people that you knew, kind of. So you remember them and you remember their qualities, but they don't. But it's not like it's not like Sybil where you can reach in and pull somebody out. They're kind of, you're like, wow, that character. Oh yeah. You remember, Ray Fiennes and I used to make this joke too, that sometimes you're acting so hard that you really believe that you've changed your physiognomy. So the disappointment is when you actually see the movie and you're like, oh, it's still me. So that's really hard, because you do, in your head, you think, I've done it this time. That's a completely different face. So I think that's the biggest disappointment, actually, that you don't actually transform.
And you started out in soaps, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any tricks that you learned in soaps? Because soap acting is very specific that you still come back to.
What's interesting about you're forced. I forced myself to watch myself because I'd come right out of college. I'd been out of college about a year when I got a job on the soap opera, and I was terrified, and I didn't know anything about camera acting. I didn't, and so I'd watch. And I remember this one girl said to me, "You have to make sure you're focusing on one of my eyes, because if you'll notice, Michael Caine does this in his video on acting. If you look at a person, you look at both their eyes, on camera, your eyes will flicker back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And you don't see that until you look at, until you actually look at the screen. And this other young actress said to me, no, you have to focus on, one thing, and you can change your focus. But so that kind of stuff. And there'd be all this tension in my face, and I learned to move the tension off camera. I was like, if I was going to have it, because it wasn't the place where I could be relaxed, I would just at least have it off camera. So I had my fists in a knot or something, anything, just to. But I kept, it let me learn how to work with a camera. That was really what it did. And you work every single day from 7 in the morning till 7 at night, and you really have to memorize a lot of stuff, and you fail, and so you learn from your mistakes. So you see yourself like, well, that was terrible. Okay, let me try this. Yeah.
You didn't develop a taste for melodrama?
Oh, who doesn't love melodrama? My favorite line from As the World Turns was about my boyfriend. I came down the stairs. I said to my mother, now that I know that Kevin is out of jail, I think I'll take a nap. So, what's not to love, man?
Did you, by the time you got cast in soaps, because you were young, did you think, well, this is it, I've made it,
no,
here I am?
I didn't, no. I was just like, I have a job, thank you, I have a job. And I was always that way, I always thought, I still feel like, okay, what am I going to do next? I don't think you can ever feel like you've arrived anywhere, because we're freelancers. So you never really know. It's not a sure thing. So I don't think I've ever felt that way.